Morning, afternoon, evening to you all out there in the world on December the 28th, 2025 on a Sunday. Sundays, there's something about Sundays, and I said this before. There's just something really, really peaceful about Sundays, and I think it's due to, it's due to the culture I grew up in, with the family and how we all felt a certain level of peace. I could smell bacon in the air when my mom would be in the kitchen cooking, and music playing, usually gospel music, black gospel music from the 70s, 60s. It's around the 60s and 70s is transformative. And it has nothing to do with religion, by the way, but there's something about black gospel music from the 60s and the 70s, maybe some in the 80s. But as with everything, a lot of things started changing like in the middle 80s, where there was a lot of degeneration, where people were becoming so extremely criminally negative in their behaviors and actions, and mainly in their thoughts. And so that's when sounds started to change, sounds and tones started to change. And with the music, it was a bit more harsh, a bit more, some people say negative. I don't know. I just say it's a consequence. The kind of music that we're listening to today is just a consequence. And the sounds and tones have changed because the structure of the planet is changing. We are massively, massively overpopulated. We have this encasement of negativity, a plasma, energetic, criminal negative energy, which could be measured by, our scientists if they chose to pay attention to that. But a lot of them rather pay attention to likes and followers. They rather pay attention to being superstars, being liked and followed is the main thing, I think. Feeling as though they are entertainers, which they are. They just love that attention. And to be honest with you, a genuine bona fide scientist usually will spend a lot of time in isolation. And so for a lot of people, they can't handle that. They can't handle being isolated. But honestly, a genuine bona fide scientist has to spend a lot of time in isolation. It doesn't mean they're lonely. There's plenty of them out there working in isolation, but they're not lonely. But then, so you're going to have to decide. And it's already decided if you pay attention and you're discerning properly. A lot of these scientists on the social media platform are entertainers. They are getting paid under the table by some group, some elements or entities that are wanting them to push a certain narrative, that everything's funny, that everything's a joke, and they are attempting to be relatable to everybody, just for likes, just for following, and just to keep people from asking important questions about, this or that and the other. And a lot of the scientists, unfortunately, do not know the answers. A lot of the so-called thinking scientists stopped once Einstein, left the picture. Once he died, all the rest of it, no one has been able to capitalize on what Einstein was working on. And, Einstein was frustrated due to research. So we don't have a lot of thinking scientists anymore. They're entertainers. They want to be influencers. They want to try to relate to people. They want to sell their books. They want to grow a large following, which we know that's manipulative and deceptive, because you can buy followers, you can buy likes. Trust me, I know. Okay? So, as we're ending this year, 2025, going into 2026, I mean, either you're going to do what you need to do or you're not. For a lot of people, it is too late. We don't live that long. As a matter of fact, we got some bad news, a couple of days ago, by someone that was like a mother to us. And, and what happened to them. Things happen. That's my point. A lot of people think they got time. I got time. No, you don't, really. You really do not have time. And I've also said in the past that if you are in your 40s and you haven't made some significant changes or experiencing significant results and consequences, you won't. Okay? A lot of us have missed opportunities during our adolescence, where that's where you start the crucial building of your foundation. And so if you have a weak foundation, you start building yourself up, all you're going to do is crash and burn, literally, figuratively, and metaphorically. So I sense that. And that's also something, like I said, something happened in the middle 80s where we started, a lot of us are going to be living, even though we're in a so-called modern time, we're going to be living in the, I guess they call it primeval. The primeval times. Even though that's religiously indoctrinated, everything is. But you need to be able to discern past religion. It is more or less. I mean, it was a. Yeah, see, a lot of it is just everything's taken over, and it's turned into commodities. Everything's a commodity now. But it's not going to be a good existence, is my point. There's going to be, and especially during the, especially with the weather. I'm not going to stop talking about that. Okay, the weather-related events, and the ignorance and stupidity of so-called scientists, pseudoscientists, and these pseudo-celebrities, pseudo-founders of particular corporations, of materialism, talking about, the population. And I told you why they want to keep bringing in a high level of populations, to keep fighting wars, and they need slaves. They need people to continue to be their slaves, and they need people to continue to fight these wars that will not end anytime soon. And now I was reading where now they're trying to push a narrative about fertility or infertility, okay? Attempting to, first they were talking about, okay, we need to raise the population. We all knew that they wanted to raise the population of a certain group of people. Let's be clear and effective. And sadly, this pushing of the population is causing a certain race of people to go who will be going extinct. Okay, they won't. They will disappear from the planet. Okay, but they're pushing this narrative about fertility or infertility and attempting to kind of merge it into population. I mean, if you're thinking clearly and effectively, you'll understand it. It's just a push of a narrative to promote a certain race of people. And unfortunately, those races of people will not be able to deal with the climate, will not be able to deal with the destruction of the climate, the rays of the sun, the climate in general. And so they're going to cause themselves to be extinct. They're going to cause themselves to be replaced. And the more you keep pushing, raising the population, believing you're going to be bringing in a certain designer humanity, what you're doing is erasing a whole lot of people that are innocent, that do not have this type of mindset, but unfortunately they're caught up in it. And again, we're going to be a lot of people are going to be living like the pre-evil times, where it was evil, prime evil was evil, okay. And at the same time, it's going to affect the children and the descendants more than anything. But you as an individual, you need to keep this in mind. You do not escape the consequences of things. Okay, whether you die or not, you're not going to escape the consequences of things that were caused either by your lineage or the lineage. I mean, it's all connected. So, as you're going through the process of reinventing yourself, re-examining your life, just be kind and gentle. That's going to be so important. You know why? Because when people do start snapping out of it and getting a grip on their lives, they are at a peril where they're going to realize what has happened and what is happening, and they may seek to harm themselves. I say, do not blame yourself unless you, do not seek to blame yourself. Just be kind and gentle with yourself and say, look, I'm going to be accountable and responsible from now on, and own up to my mistakes and do whatever I can to reverse what I've done. And do not make it so personal. Take it off the personal. Ground yourself. Reach out to people that you admire, that you want to assist you and help you with what you're going to be going through. A lot of people are going to go through some troubling times. I can sense it, and I just have to know where I end and others begin, meaning I cannot be interfering as I've done in the when I started this video series way back in 2022. I was ready to just tell everything, but that was dangerous for me, and that caused me to be a target because people believed I knew more than I knew, or they believed I knew something that they wanted to know, and it just it was life-threatening. So now I understand I do not need to interfere in someone's life. I don't need to be telling people what their future is going to be. Do it yourself. Figure it out. You don't need anybody throwing out tarot cards, mixing potions and lotions for you. Is clear and effective. Is logical, rational, and reasonable what's happening now. Pay attention to nature. Pay attention to nature. Pay attention to how the sun is touching your skin. There's a difference. The air you're breathing, there's a difference. I told you about a planet that was completely destroyed in 2007, and it took less than 30 years for this planet to destroy itself because of overpopulation. I mean, the planet destroyed itself because it depleted itself of oxygen. I always have a problem with that word. They couldn't breathe. They were suffocating because they were so massively overpopulated. So just vow to yourself that you're going to self-educate yourself. You're going to be calm about it. You're going to be silent. This is going to be a silent revolution that you have to work within yourself. And once you turn that onto yourself, you're going to realize how easy it is, because you will be protected. You will be protected. So again, today is Sunday, one of my favorite days, December 28th, 2025. I'm going to enjoy this Sunday. It started out with a lot of stuff going on, which this neighborhood has a lot of stuff going on. But I do recognize a certain level of peacefulness that has come over this neighborhood since I moved in here. It's just, There's just something going on. And that's what happens sometimes. When you are peaceful, you help your environment to become peaceful too. So it starts from within. Universal love was always inclusive. We as a humanity divided it and turned it into commodities. But some of us are going to help to reverse that. Peace and love. And trust me, I will be back.